370 games down, just 10 remaining. However, we're set up for an exciting finale in the Premier League this weekend because there's 5 teams that can still get Champions League football, but there's only 3 spots up for grabs. So who do we think will be qualifying for Champions League football next season? That's what we're going to be predicting in today's video. Now, before we begin previewing all 10 fixtures, let's remind ourselves of how the important part of the Premier League table looks heading in to Sunday. Got Manchester City in third on 68 points, and they require just 1 point this weekend for Champions League football due to that significant advantage they've got when it comes to goal difference. Got Newcastle and Chelsea in 4th and 5th tied on 66 points, and Aston Villa in the Europa League spot also on 66 points, but with a much worse goal difference than the 2 above them. So they need a favour this weekend. Got Nottingham Forest in 7th on 65 points. Now, should Chelsea finish 6th or 7th and go on to win the Conference League on Wednesday night, that would mean 8th place qualifies for the Conference League football next season, which is currently occupied by Brighton on 58 points. So should they draw this weekend, they're guaranteed to finish 8th and they'll be rooting for Chelsea on Wednesday. But if they lose and Brentford win, they go into 8th and they will become Chelsea supporters for 90 minutes on Wednesday evening as they take on Real Betis. That's how the league table looks, but how do we think it will end up? Let's start previewing and predicting all the games, and we're going to kick it off at Old Trafford as it's Manchester United against Aston Villa. Man U are just falling apart. The fallout post-Europa League final has been interesting. I was going to say fantastic, and I'm going to use that word actually. This is what 7-year-old Gio has always wanted. Surrounded by Man United fans on the playground, watching them just fall apart, lose their minds. It is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. Bruno Fernandes is talking about how he could leave. Amorim said that he'll happily hand in his resignation. No one knows what's happening. No European football. Skint. It's brilliant. As a neutral, I am enjoying this quite a lot. To expect them to pick themselves up, roll their sleeves up and get it going on Sunday, I just cannot see. I cannot see them turning up and putting in a performance. Old Trafford will be a difficult place for those Man United players. And also Amorim's got a difficult thing to do here in terms of team selection, because Garnacho has spoken out and basically called out Ruben Amorim. His brother's taken to social media. Can you play him on Sunday? Bear in mind he's not very happy, so if you put him in, is he going to put in the effort? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. The atmosphere with those home fans on Sunday will be interesting because they're angry. And I'm not sure what they're angry with or who they're angry with. I'm not sure they know, some of them. They're just angry at the state of the club. But is it Ruben Amorim's fault? Maybe not. Is it the players' fault? Yeah, of course. Is it the owner's fault? Well, yeah. But the Glazers more than Sir Jim. There's a lot of anger, and I don't know if they know where to direct it. Will be interesting. Aston Villa, though, won 9 out of the last 11. I was just checking my notes. Won 9 out of the last 11. So they're coming into this game in good form. This is a good fixture for them, because if they take the lead, that place will turn nasty, I think. The atmosphere will be on Villa's side here. When you go into a weekend of this magnitude, you want to be playing at home. And 1 or 2 teams have that advantage. But if you're not, I think playing away to a side in just complete disarray is the next best thing. And that's what Villa's got. It's hard to see anything other than an away win here. My prediction, I'm going to say Manchester United 0, Aston Villa 2, and chaos on the terraces. Let's go to the City ground. This is the hardest game to predict, I think, because both teams have got something to play for and they're both playing for the same thing. And a draw may not be enough for Chelsea. A draw won't be enough for Nottingham Forest. They need to win. Nottingham Forest have to win. It's all or nothing now for them. But a draw could be enough for Chelsea if Villa are not winning at Old Trafford. So the state of this game will be depending on what's going on elsewhere with Aston Villa. And possibly Newcastle United as well, if you find out that they're losing. But Forest have to throw the kitchen sink at Chelsea on Sunday, and I think they will. And we've just talked about a toxic atmosphere at Old Trafford. I imagine the atmosphere is going to be rocking at the City ground. Those fans will turn up with full belief, because if they lose, if Nottingham Forest lose and they finish 7th, they will still be celebrating. They've qualified for European football. It's a fantastic achievement. Nottingham Forest, they can lose the game, they can miss out on Champions League football, it will be a blow, but overall, the 38 game conclusion has been a success no matter what happens. Not so much for Chelsea. They need Champions League football. They've got to get in there. Makes it very hard to call. Now, before I give you my prediction, if you're new to this channel, please do subscribe, and also please do drop a like on the video as well by clicking thumbs up. We can get 200 likes on the video. That would be fantastic. I know you'll get fed up. Oh, you always ask me to do it, but it generally helps the video and helps the channel out, and I'm trying to grow it. So come along, join in the journey. Right then, Nottingham Forest not won in the last 3 games at home, which is unlike them. You know, they'd been good at home up until very recently, and Chelsea have won 6 of the last 7, but they don't score much away against teams in the top half of the table. I think they've only scored, I think it's single figures, the amount of goals they've scored against teams in the top half of the table. It's not very much. I'm going to go for a prediction of Nottingham Forest 1, Chelsea 1, but I'm not sure I believe in my prediction. I'm just finding this difficult to call because it's so dependent. Villa know they have to win. Newcastle know they have to win. This is the only match really where you feel like it's hard. Because while I'm going to predict a draw, I'm going to leave it as a draw. Part of me thinks, well, it won't be, because 10 minutes to go if it's 1-1, Forest are just going to go for it. They have to. Forest are better off chucking everything and losing than they are being cautious and drawing 1-1. There's no point to drawing 1-1. It's pointless. They've got to get the win. I'll say 1-1, and let's move on to St James's Park as Newcastle United take on Everton. Everton, who are finishing 13th, they can't go up, they can't go down. Newcastle United, though, won the last 6 in a row at St James's Park. A bad result for them against Arsenal. And this is the big question. Is Alexander Isak fit for this match? I have a feeling he will be. Now, by the time you're watching this, Eddie Howe's maybe done his press conference and said, no, he's not playing. I'm going to look a little bit silly. But it's just a feeling I've got. I think he'll be okay. If not, Howe's got a problem, and Howe's got to come up with something. And I don't think something is Callum Wilson. He was horrendous. He stunk out the Emirates. I don't think he can do that again. But on the assumption that Isak's fit, or Howe will come up with something else, and I'm confident he will. I feel confident that Newcastle can win this one, but it won't be easy. Since Everton won their first game under David Moyes when he came back towards the end of January, they're 5th in the Premier League. If you look at the points tally of all the teams since that win, they're 5th. This is a difficult game, but I do feel like Everton's season finished last weekend. Won at home, last ever game at Goodison Park. The guaranteed finish 13th. That's it. That's it. I wouldn't be surprised there's a lot of rotation from David Moyes. I wouldn't be surprised if Jordan Pickford's at Wembley watching Sunderland getting pissed and he's not even in goal at St James's Park. Because usually there's like, oh yeah, but there's prize money. There's not even that. There's literally nothing on the line for Everton here. I think Newcastle under Howe previously were very, very good defensively. It was hard to beat them. They were clean sheets. Pope was keeping clean sheets. The defence was very good. I think you might see an element of that on Sunday. I think you might see clean sheet first mentality from Howe, which is we're going to win the game, but we're going to make sure that back door is locked. So I'm going to say Newcastle United 2, Everton 0. Then we're off to Craven Cottage. Manchester City need just a point. That point will be fine because of that goal difference. And big win for them against Bournemouth. I thought they played really well too in that game. Fulham, the most unpredictable team in the Premier League. But it's been a good season for them. Sitting 10th at the minute. I think it's their record points total. Regardless of what happens, I think this is the most points they've accrued. They've done well. They've done well. They've had a good season. It's just been a disappointing end because they should be in the conversation for that 8th place. We should be talking about if Fulham gets something, finish 8th, they might have European football. Not just them, Bournemouth too. And City ended that on Tuesday night by beating them. It meant that Bournemouth couldn't get 8th place anymore. For this one, I think City will turn up and get the job done. Marco Silva has come up against Pep Guardiola more than any other manager in his career. 14 times they've came head-to-head in dugouts. And Pep Guardiola has won all 14. That is a big statistic because you'd expect to lose most of your games against Pep. But there's not even like a law of averages here, which is, well, actually Silva's won 2, yeah, but he's faced Pep more than anyone else. That doesn't even exist. Played 14, lost 14. I think it's going to be played 15, lost 15 after Sunday. I'm going to say Fulham 0, Manchester City 2. Moving down across to Spurs, who take on Brighton. It's going to be party. It's going to be party time. Complete opposite atmosphere compared to Old Trafford. And this was always going to happen. This was what was on the line. And as a neutral, this is what I was looking forward to because no matter the outcome, something funny was going to happen. One of these two teams were just going to self-combust. Now, it was hard to watch and it felt weird watching Spurs win and I didn't really like it. But there's going to be party time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday. They won't care about this game. They won't care about finishing 17th anymore, and they shouldn't. They've won a trophy. They've won the Europa League. They're in the Champions League next season. Done. Their season finished on Wednesday night. It's just done. They could lose 5-0 on Sunday. They should not care a jot. It's difficult to know what team Postecoglou is going to put out. Is he going to stop his big players like Van de Ven potentially getting injured, or is he going to think, well, it's last game, just play my strongest team, try and get 3 points and finish above Man United? That would really rub salt in the wound, wouldn't it? Spurs going above Man United and putting them to 17th. I'm not so sure. I think Brighton need a point, but I think they're in good nick at the minute. They are. In the last 4, they've won 3, drawn 1, beat Liverpool on Monday night. And when they play teams in the bottom half, the last 9 games they've won 6 of them. So Brighton are good at picking up the points that they should pick up and they need to pick up. And that's probably why they're sitting 8th. And those around them are a point, or well, at least 3 points behind them. I think that's why they are the best of the rest, because they've been quite consistent and quite ruthless in the games that they needed to be. I think they win on Sunday. Now, over 70% of Brighton's games this season has had over 2.5 goals. There's usually goals when these two come up against each other as well. I'm going to say Spurs 1, Brighton 3. There's always a game. There's always a game on the final day. There's always a surprise result. There's always a hiding as well. There's always a game that just has goals. And while I think there's going to be 4 goals at Tottenham, I think there might be more at the Molineux, because it's Wolves up against Brentford. Brentford need to win, and then they need to hope that Spurs can do them a favour against Brighton as well. Maybe not the team you want to rely on in the final day of the season. Wolves are 14th at the minute, but they can drop down to 17th, so there's quite a bit on the line for Wolves financially. But they've lost 3 in a row. They won 6 in a row, then they've lost 3 in a row. And I didn't watch the game on Tuesday. I watched the Man City Bournemouth one, but I've heard, and I know a Wolves fan, and they were saying that they just didn't play well at all and didn't look bothered whatsoever. So it's hard to not take that opinion into consideration when evaluating this game. Now, Brentford have won 7 of the last 9 aways. I was surprised that they got beat by Fulham. That was a huge blow. And I think that's the one that if they were to win this game and finish 9th, because Brighton picked something up, they really will look back at that defeat to Fulham last weekend, I think, and think that's cost us European football, and I think it has. I'm going to say Wolves 2, Brentford 4. I think there's going to be some goals at the Molineux. I think we're in for a bit of entertainment of 2 teams who are a bit footloose and capable of scoring. Brentford have certainly got goals in them with, like I said, they've got 3 players in form scoring. Shada, Mbomo and Wissa, all 3 players are in form. I think all 3 score on Sunday as well. There you go. There's an extra prediction. 4-2 Brentford, and all 3 of them get at least 1 goal each. Now we're off to the boarding games. We've got 4 of them. Anfield, I mean, it's boring for us, but it'll be good for Liverpool fans and Crystal Palace fans, because it's party time at Anfield. The way fans are going to be partying. Waka waka, hey, 12th again. Who gives a fuck? We've won the FA Cup. Come on. That is stuck in my head. Dean Henderson's made that stick in my head. But the way fans will be singing that, the home fans will be singing about winning the Premier League title. No one will care about Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's the reality of it. I'm going to say Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 2. Palace are unbeaten in 7. They're in good form. But how do you call this game? I think we'll see goals. You've seen Liverpool against Brighton losing 3-2. It's hard not to expect something similar. The players don't care. Slot doesn't care. I think the only thing they're going to want to do on Sunday is get Salah to at least match that record of goals and assists in a season, because he's been in stinking form recently. He's missed from 3 yards out, didn't he, against Brighton? And De Bruyne did the same for Manchester City. So 2 people you'd usually expect to score. Well, I'd expect anyone to score a bar down with Nunez from that opportunity. But I think it'll be a bit of the, can we make it about Salah so that he can get that record? So expect maybe a Salah pen on Sunday. Bournemouth take on Leicester City. 1 win in 7 at home for Bournemouth. That form's killed their hopes of European football. And they've really tailed off. I think the last few months, it doesn't feel like Ariola's Bournemouth. It feels a little bit limp in attack. There's not much fast energy. There's no creativity. And I think it shows how important Ryan Christie is to Bournemouth, because they've just been a bit flat recently. You know, they've still had Evan Nielsen recently. They've had Evan Nielsen. They've had Kluivert, Semenyo, Utara, Tavernier. The options are there. And even though Christie's out, they've still got Cook and Adams, 2 good central midfielders. But I do think they're missing Ryan Christie's high energy and how important he is in the high press. But Bournemouth have just been poor. Leicester City, however, they're actually in a bit of form. 7 points in the last 3 games. But no Jamie Vardy this weekend. He's bowed out after scoring last week. That was his final game. And such a satisfactory thing to end on. 500 games and 200 goals. Just bang on 500 and 200. It's just, how satisfying is that? That's I like it. I'm going to say 2-1 Bournemouth. Southampton against who cares about this? Southampton against Arsenal. Who cares? They've got such a big goal difference, Arsenal, compared to Man City. They're finishing second, even if they lose, unless City do hand out one of those pastings that we sometimes see on the final game of the season. Southampton are guaranteed finish bottom. Is anyone asked about this game? Even are Southampton fans or Arsenal fans asked about this game? I'm not so sure. I think you might see a bit of a heavily rotated Arsenal team. I would be surprised if Saka plays, for example. You just come back from injury, leave him out of the team. You don't have to play him. Play Trossard, Martinelli, and Havertz is back. Give him a run out, I suppose. I'll say 2-1 Arsenal, but who cares? And even less people care about the final game, which is Ipswich Town against my team, West Ham United. Ipswich can't be bothered. West Ham can't be bothered. I reckon if you were to offer both managers 0-0 and you don't have to play the game, I think they might take it. Jokes aside, I think Potter will take this serious, because we can move up the table to 14, so we can move up a spot or we can move down 2. So there is a 12 million swing here for West Ham, and there's a 3 million swing for Ipswich because they can finish above Leicester City. I'm going to say West Ham win this game 1-0. I don't think it'll be exciting. I think it'll be boring, but I think we'll turn up to try and get 3 points and hope that Brentford do us a favour against Wolves and we can get that extra 3 million. And when Potter came in, West Ham were 14th in the league. West Ham may finish 14th in the league as well, so it's not been good, but I think he can point to it and say, well, I've not made us any worse. Whereas Ruben Amorim took over, Man United were just outside the Champions League spaces. Now they're outside the Championship spaces. Anyway, that's my prediction. So what does that mean for the league table? Well, I've whacked them all in. I'll put the link in the description below so you can go do the same if you wish, if you want to know what your final league table looks like. So here we have it. Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City in 3rd. Newcastle and Aston Villa getting Champions League spots due to the draw at the City Ground. Chelsea finishing in 6th, which means 8th place will get Conference League football, which would be Brighton in this instance. My team will finish 14th. I've got Wolves in 15th, Man United 16th, and then Spurs down in 17th. And then we've got the relegated 3 down there as well. And somewhat quite weird, if all my predictions happen, I didn't know this until literally looking at it now, Spurs, Palace and Fulham all end up with a 0 goal difference, which, I don't know, something satisfying about that. Finishing 17th with a 0 goal difference is almost impressive. Anyway, right. Thank you very much for joining me. Don't be shy. Give me your predictions in the comments below. All the fixtures in the description. Copy, paste, give me them. Let me know what you think. Let's have a chat. And I'm looking forward to it on Sunday, actually. Best of luck to, if you're a fan of one of the teams involved in the Champions League race, best of luck. I do know what you're going through. We, West Ham, have been in, not Champions League, but European contention before. And it's different, isn't it? For Forest, it's like, wow, this would be amazing. But for, Manchester City, it's like, wow, this could be, right, this is the minimum. And I think Chelsea's a bit like that as well. And Newcastle and Villa are somewhere in the middle. But best of luck. Personally, I'm rooting for Forest, Villa and Newcastle. I would like to see Man City drop out the top 5 just because it would be fun. It's fun. I want to see change in the Premier League. I want to see variety. I want to see hope given to other teams, which is, we can do this, you can do this, come on. We can get City out the top 5 next season. We can get Chelsea, whatever. So best of luck, and I'll catch up with you on Monday morning to discuss all the action, all the results, and all the big talking points.